and welcome to today's neuroscience lesson, Practice Makes Perfect. Before we jump into today's lesson, let's take a moment to go over some important concepts. Let's start broadly by defining learning and memory. Learning refers to the cognitive function of acquiring information. Memory, on the other hand, refers to the cognitive function of recalling acquired information. Memory refers to a large number of cognitive functions that can be further characterized on the basis of their duration and by the types of information being stored and recalled. A duration-based categorization of memory-related functions allows us to classify memory as either short-term memory, which lasts anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds, or long-term memory, which lasts anywhere from a few minutes to a lifetime. When discussing short and long-term memory, it's important to talk about the hippocampus, the part of the brain that's responsible for moving information from short to long-term memory. When we look at categorizing memory by the type of information being stored, we can classify memory as either declarative memory or procedural memory. Declarative memory refers to the memory of discrete information, like specific facts, the locations of things, and the names of people, and is located in the cerebrum of the brain. Procedural memory refers to the memory of how to do things like play the piano or hit a tennis ball and is located in the cerebellum. Similarly to how there are different kinds of memory, there are also different kinds of learning. Three main types of learning are association learning, imitation learning, and repetition learning. Association learning refers to the forming of connections between learning targets and prior knowledge. Imitation learning can be defined simply as learning accomplished by copying or mimicking the learning target. Lastly, repetition learning refers to learning through multiple exposures to the learning target. This technique is most commonly used with the flashcard method of studying. And with that, we can conclude our general overview and proceed onto today's lesson and activity.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. My name is Manny, and today we're going to go a little bit deeper into how practice and repetition make memories. So, when we're talking about practice and repetition, think, for example, learning how to ride a bike. Okay, when you're as a little kid, you're learning for the first time how to ride a bike. It requires balance, it requires speeding up and slowing down, and all of these things together to work in harmony. And so that requires a lot of practice, a lot of repetition. But over time, you get better at it. You start to bike ride a little bit faster, it got more control, and so forth. And what's happening is that your body is storing memories of how to better ride this bicycle. And so let's look into these kinds of memories. These kinds of memories are known as procedural memories. These are memories that remind you how to do certain things. And so they require practice and repetition to really nail down and solidify it as a memory. And so we're talking about things like bike riding, walking. When you're a little kid or a little baby just learning how to walk, sure, your parents will help you a little bit as you start to find your feet, pun intended. But as you find your feet, as you learn how to balance, you stop consciously thinking about it and it becomes more unconscious, where you stop thinking about how to place your foot and so forth and you just do it. Okay? Similarly with tying your shoelaces, swimming, and so forth. So there's many other examples you can think of how we build a memory through repetition and practice. Now, how is this memory stored in our brains? So here's a small little diagram of our brain, and I really want to point out the cerebellum here in blue. So the cerebellum is this nifty little area where these procedural memories are believed to be stored. And usually they're stored as motor programs or routines. So think of how to shower, how to ride a bike, how to swim, how to do certain exercises, certain activities, and so forth. And really, all of these procedural memories, they all belong to a certain group of memories called implicit memory. Implicit memory, as I said before, they don't require any conscious thought. You don't have to constantly think how you're going to place your foot down as you grow older. Why? Because as you repeat the same moves, as you practice the same moves, you start doing them without thinking. Okay? So they become more unconscious as you practice and practice and practice. And so to better apply this, we're going to do a very simple at-home activity where you're going to be tying shoelaces. Okay, we're going to learn a new skill and practice it. And so the goal here is to get faster and better at tying 3 different kinds of knots. And so the only material you'll have to get for this activity is a shoe with shoelaces. So the 3 knots we're going to look at are the reef, also known as a square knot because it looks like a square. We're also going to look into the double knot and the 2-loop knot. Alrighty then, so let's get into the first knot. Right now we're going to start off with the reef, or also known as the square knot. So we're going to take our shoe here, and we're going to take our shoelaces, and we're going to do just an over, under, just as if you're doing, regular shoe tying. Okay? And then we're going to repeat that same thing again, where we're going to go over and under. And then we're going to pull. We're going to pull on both sides together in order to make some sort of a square knot. And so this knot is actually pretty unique in that the U.S. Army actually uses this knot for its dependability, for pulling heavy loads and so forth. And so this is the first knot, and so let's go through it one more time. So again, we're going to go over and under, and then we're going to go over and under one more time, but we're not going to pull on the shoelace. Instead, we're going to grab both ends and pull. And there you go, that's the reef knot. Alrighty, guys and gals, so let's take a look at the second kind of knot, the double knot. So first of all, we're going to go over and under again. This time we want to make sure that our shoelaces are pretty long, because for this next step, we're going to similarly put them over on top of each other, so one shoelace over the other. And so now, how we're going to do this is we're going to take the over shoelace, we're going to bring it inside the loop, and just hold on to the bunny ear. So here, there's a bunny ear. We're going to hold on to it. And then we're going to bring the other shoelace also into the loop. So that way we have a bunny ear. And so when we pull on these bunny ears, we get a double knot. Okay? And so the best way to know if you did it correctly is when you pull on it, you should hear a pop. So going one more time. Over and under. Tighten that. Then put one shoelace over the other. Bring the over shoelace just in, just so you got a bunny ear. Bring the other shoelace in, just so that you have a bunny ear. And then pull. And then pop. Alrighty then, now for our final knot, our third knot of the day, the 2-loop knot. So we're going to start off just like our other knots. We're going to go over and under. And so now we're going to take one shoelace and turn it into a bunny ear loop, this long bunny ear loop. And so unlike normal traditional shoe tying laces, we're going to wrap around this loop twice. So we're going to wrap around this loop twice and then bring it in to this opening we have between the over and under and our bunny ear loop, and we're going to pull so that now we have 2 loops. And in fact, it's very sturdy. And to make sure that you pulled it on right, it should come off automatically when you pull on it. So again, over and under, one large loop. We're going to go around it twice. We're going to bring it in here, where we're going to pull on it like a small bunny ear, and we're going to tighten. And then once we pull on to one end, it should come out undone.